Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, jambo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. Please be sure to connect with us on social media, facebook.com/readingwithyourkids, at Jedley Magic on Twitter, and at Reading With Your Kids on Instagram. Our guest today is Buffy Silverman. She is the author of On a Snow Melting Day. Before we invite Buffy in to talk about all the wonderful things we will discover on a day when the snow starts melting, we want to let you know that this episode of the podcast is brought to you in part by our friends at Vooks. Vooks.com. VOOKS.com. You know, I've been telling you all that Vooks is offering a free 1-year subscription to every single teacher and homeschooling parent. And the teachers that I've been telling, and I know lots of teachers, they are ecstatic about this. My beautiful wife has signed up. She has her 1-year subscription. She loves it. Check it out. Vooks combines the love, trust, and safety of children's books with the convenience of online streaming for a whole new way to experience stories with a growing library of animated storybooks that both kids and parents will love. By adding movement, sound, and narration to existing books, Vooks brings stories to life, encouraging the love of reading while promoting literacy, imagination, and focus for children 2 to 8 years old. With Vooks, children can learn, laugh, and let their imagination soar, while parents can feel good about letting their little ones enjoy quality, guilt-free screen time. You know, Vooks also has great free resources to go along with some of their most beloved titles. And as I was mentioning at the top of this spot, Vooks is offering a 1-year free subscription to every single teacher and homeschooling parent. To learn more, go to Vooks.com. That's VOOKS.com, Vooks.com. We also want to let you know that this episode of the podcast is also brought to you by Bruce Wayne is Insane, Meeting Ninja Kitty, a fantastic new picture book by our friend Arlene Hio. It is really a great book. We recently had the honor of displaying Bruce Wayne is Insane, Meeting Ninja Kitty at Chicago Kids Expo. And the families there loved it. There was one family in particular that loved it because one of the characters is a pit bull. As you know, pit bulls are these, they're almost like mythic creatures. Some people are incredibly afraid of them. They're very, very powerful animals. The people who love pit bulls love pit bulls. And this family loves their pit bull. And they were so delighted to find out that here's a story with a pit bull shown in a really, really positive light. And they love that it was a wonderful story of friendship, too. I think you're going to love it, too. It's Bruce Wayne is Insane, Meeting Ninja Kitty. Great new picture book by our friend Arlene Hio. Check it out. It's available at Amazon. Joining us on the line right now from Augusta in Michigan. She is a member of STEAM Team 2020, and she is the author of a brand new book called On a Snow Melting Day. Please welcome to the show, Buffy Silverman. Buffy, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Really excited to have you on. I was just mentioning to Buffy that I love having authors on that are writing in the STEM and the STEAM fields because I get to learn so much. I am fascinated. Tell us about On a Snow Melting Day and what we're going to experience with that book.
Well, actually, the reason I love writing for children is the exact same reason you just mentioned, is because I also get to learn so much. And some of what I learned on writing On a Snow Melting Day was all of the changes that occur as winter becomes spring. And the book is mainly an extended poem about the changes that are occurring. And illustrated with photographs, so you can see what is happening in the natural world, all of the animals that were hibernating that are awakening, all of the changes that are occurring in the weather, the changes in the plants, and all the fascinating things that are occurring as the seasons change, as spring really brings our part of the world back to life.
Yes, our part of the world. It is here in the north. I'm in Boston. You are in Michigan. It can get pretty challenging in the winter times.
It can, not this winter, but most winters.
True. Well, that was leading me to a question I had is, when I went to take the amazing Augie on a walk this morning, there were 6 squirrels running up and down a tree and in front of our house, and I'm thinking, gee, maybe they have their calendars mixed up. They're really active, and what happens on a winter like this where we had some snow in December, but otherwise it's been pretty mild. Does nature kind of go crazy and shake its head and says what's going on here?
Well, certainly plants have been changing their blooming times. Trees change the times that their buds start opening, and that's been happening with climate change. Most things are adapting, but that's to be seen whether there'll be long-term adaptations. But when you were mentioning squirrels, there are squirrels in the book. One of the things that squirrels do this time of year is they have their young really early in January. So there are baby squirrels in the nest. And some of them are probably just about getting ready to leave the nest. So you might have been seeing some little young ones running up and down. Yeah, but they will stay in their nest when it is quite cold, and they are quite good at remembering where all of their food sources are, and so they can make it through.
Well, we had last summer a squirrel decided to make its nest inside the engine block of my wife's car.
That can do a lot of damage.
Yes, it can, and it can scare the mechanic when she brought it in for an oil change, and they open up the hood and it's like, whoa, what's going on here? It was quite a surprise
Yeah.
Indeed. So who are some of the animals and some of the creatures who are going to meet in on a snow melting day?
Okay, well, can I read just the beginning of it to you?
Sure,
so you
absolutely,
get a feel for it?
Yeah.
Okay. It starts on a drip, droppy, slip, sloppy, snow melting day. Squirrels cuddle, snakes huddle. And when you're meeting the snakes, if they are garter snakes will go into a hibernaculum. It's called a place where many, many snakes will hibernate together. And there are hundreds of garter snakes in this picture, all cuddled together. Mm-hmm. Clouds break, salamanders wake. So spotted salamanders can actually climb over the snow, and they go to mate and lay their eggs in temporary ponds. So there's a picture of a spotted salamander actually on the snow.
Wow.
And then icicles drip, chickadees sip. And this is my favorite picture in the book. This is a picture of a chickadee actually sipping from a dripping icicles. And the book continues from there. But
yeah.
that's a feel for what's going on in the adventure on the snow melting day.
And it seems to be written in rhyme, so it's a book that a young one can really kind of get into and start to memorize and get a sense that they're able to read as, they're remembering the rhyme and as this book is being read over and over and over again.
Yes, that's right. And that really the book is written kind of on two levels because it is written in rhyme, and they're very simple text that a young child can listen to. But in the back of the book, there's what nonfiction authors love to do is there's a lot of back matter. So for every phrase, for example, squirrels cuddle, snakes huddle, there is an entry in the back matter that explains exactly what's going on at that time of year. So your older child can also get involved and find out a whole lot. And even a really curious younger child can find out exactly what's going on in those pictures.
One of the things that I hear from parents and other guests is that it seems a lot of kids are missing their connection with nature. They don't have the same opportunities to get outside and explore for a number of reasons. For one thing, kids are overscheduled and they're in structured activities constantly, it seems, they're in school and then they're in an after school program, or they're in an enrichment program. They're in on a sports team, in a dance class, a martial arts class. Kids don't have the luxury of just going out and exploring the woods like I did, and just, your mother chase you out after breakfast and say, come home at dinner time, and
Right.
you're just out there exploring and going on hikes, and that's not happening these days. Is that something that you're experiencing?
Yes, and that's one of the things that I hope with a book like this and many other nature books is that a child and maybe the entire family goes out and looks for some of the signs of spring. The subtitle of the book is Seeking Signs of Spring, and you do actually have to go outside to do that. There's so much going on in nature this time of year, and kids are so good at observing and pointing things out that we adults may not notice. Some of the things you can do with your child is just go out and look at the trees and find the buds at the end of every twig. And in those buds are the leaves and flowers that are going to open. And if you go out this time of year and then you go back in a week, you can see that they have been elongated and that they're enlarging. And then you go back in another couple of weeks and you'll see teeny tiny leaves coming out. So a kid can track these changes. Something that I thought might be fun for a child to do. Everybody's got a camera with them now. You could take a photo of the buds and then come back and take a photo again in a week and another week and compare them. And you'll have a visual record of the signs of spring that are happening. And your kids will find so many more interesting things going on in the natural world if you give them a chance and if you let them.
One of the things I hear is that, technology is robbing our kids of a chance to get outside and experience nature because kids are just glued to screens. Adults are glued to screens. This is a great way to use the amazing technology that we have to have a better appreciation and understanding of the nature around us.
That's for sure. In fact, we have some guidebooks downloaded on our smartphones. So it used to be that if you went out walking, my husband and I are both quite interested in nature and identifying birds and plants and the like. And now you've got your whole library of guidebooks can be stored on your little smartphone, so it can enhance the experience. And there are even apps that will identify different things in nature for you, which really is kind of cool as an adult. I don't know that a child needs that, but as an adult, it really enhances the experience for me.
Yeah, and like you said, there's so much around us that we don't see. And I think it's and we see different things, and I love the idea of going out into nature with your kids and helping each other see what you're seeing. I think it's a great way to empower your kids, let them know that you're interested in what they're seeing, that they are really perceptive, and also I think it's just a great lesson for them to learn that we tend to look at the world from different perspectives, and it's really fun to kind of share those perspectives with each other.
I agree completely. And in fact, you don't have to take a long trip to do this. There's nature in a city. There's nature in suburbs. Go to a city park. You'll see lots and lots of changes. Maybe you just have a little courtyard with an apartment. And there are changes in the bushes and there are squirrels everywhere. And one of the most fascinating experiences I had, early nature one, is when I was out of college. I was actually living in Boston, your home.
Hey.
And I watched the pigeons building a nest on the on the fire escape, on the balcony with the fire escape, bringing twigs in, and they do their little courtship dance, and it was just fascinating. And because I was in a city, I had this close-up view of that I would never have had elsewhere. So you really can find nature anywhere if you're opening your eyes and looking for it.
There you go. There's no excuse, no matter where you live. You can get, well, I suppose it might be difficult in Antarctica, but other than that, I can't think.
And there you get to go look at the penguins. But yes, you're right. It would take more effort, for sure.
What's been your experience? We mentioned at the top of the show that you are a member of STEAM Team 2020. That's a new initiative that our Dean of all things STEM and STEAM, Jennifer Swanson, kind of launched. How's that been going for you so far? I know it's just launching, but how's being part of that team of authors working for you?
That it's really a wonderful thing, and the thing that I read a quote a while ago that said, it's a bunny eat bunny world out there for children's writers. And that's, it's really not even a bunny eat bunny. It's really a bunny help bunny. Children's authors are the nicest people in the world, and they really support one another. And by being in a group like STEAM Team, I'm finding different opportunities to promote my work, and I'm also helping other people promote their work. So it's really a nice way to get the word out about books, people with shared interests, and teachers who are looking for STEM and STEAM books are finding out about us, so that's great. Hopefully libraries will too. A book like On a Snow Melting Day should be in your library, and if it's not, you should ask for it, because it's kind of the perfect book to share in a library.
Yeah, and that's a lot of folks ask, how can we support authors? How can we help them? A great way to help an author is going into a library and saying, hey, I've heard about this book. I'd really love for you folks to add it to your collection. Because librarians, I mean, you talk about being bombarded. They're bombarded with there are books published all the time. And it's a huge job to go through that. And so if they're getting your input saying, hey, I heard about this book, I'd love for it to be here, it's a help to the author, and it also helps the librarian too.
Exactly. Yes, it certainly does. I've been lucky with On a Snow Melting Day. It has had some nice reviews from some of the big journals. It got a starred review from Kirkus, which was a big deal, and some nice reviews from Booklist and School Library Journal. So librarians find out about the book that way, but a request from a patron is the best thing. It's the best way for a librarian to say, oh, I know somebody wants that book, I should order it, and probably if one of my patrons wants the book, other people are going to also be interested in it. So it is a great way to support authors.
Now, On a Snow Melting Day is not your first book. We have so many debut authors on the show, and it's wonderful. You've written, from my count, over 20 books.
Actually, about 90 books.
90 books, okay.
But you were close.
Well, I got double digits anyways. But I got to ask you, I wish I see one of the books you wrote was World of Pokemon. And I think that would have been so helpful to me back when my kid was into all things Pokemon. He's 26 now. I don't think he's still quite into it, although the cards are still in my closet. He's married. We have to do something about that. But tell us about World of Pokemon, and what did you find out in writing that book?
Oh boy, I wish you'd told me ahead of time, because I would have to look at the book. I can tell you, what I found out was that the world of Pokemon is really complicated for an adult who has not entered it before. That book was one that was requested by an editor. And I also wrote a World of Mario book. And it was a good thing that my daughter, who is now 28, was around at the time that I was writing it, because she had to explain everything to me. At the time I wrote it, the smartphone game was quite popular. The summer that had come out, and I went out with her and we went capturing Pokemon together so I could get an idea of this entire world. But it is pretty amazing that it has had this longevity, and that these creatures, which are sort of like, some of them are sort of like wildlife. And the great thing with that smartphone game is that it did get you out in the world. And in addition for looking for squirrels, you were looking for Bulbasaur and other such creatures. So it is kind of cool. One of the fascinating things that I found out is that it was, let's see if I've got this right. The person who invented Pokemon was totally interested in insects when he was a little boy. And he started drawing them, and his imagination went wild, and that was the origin of the Pokemons, was his early interest in entomology.
Wow, fascinating. Well, I have to ask you that. I'm not going to ask you your favorite book, because I imagine with 90, if published, it would be very hard. But I was wondering, of all these books, what was the most surprising experience for you? Which book kind of opened your eyes to things that you really weren't aware of?
Okay, I guess I'll have to answer a couple of them.
Okay.
One of them is called Can an Old Dog Learn New Tricks? And that's aimed at slightly older kids, 4th to 6th grade. And that's a series of animal myths, sayings that you might have heard of, like, can an alligator really live in a sewer? Is it true that a worm can live in your brain? And it's filled with really fascinating tidbits. So that was just a ton of fun to research that one. And that's one that I share in school visits with elementary school kids. And the kids just really love that because there's so much fascinating information in there. They especially love is it true that a worm can live in your brain, because it's so gross, and kids are drawn to gross things, as adults are sometimes. So that was just a really fascinating book to research. Right now, I'm trying to turn my writing from more to include more poetry. So I'm especially thrilled that On a Snow Melting Day is entering the world, because it's my first book that is on my own, that is an extended poem. I have several poems in other people's anthologies, but this is the first book of my own that's a poem. So that's pretty great for me, because that's where I'd like to turn my writing right now. That's
awesome. Well, I can't say enough about On a Snow Melting Day. The photography in the book is beautiful. Now, did you take the pictures in the book?
Now, actually, most of the photographs are stock photography, but when they were putting it together, I said, would it be okay if I submitted a few of my photographs? And 3 of them are my photos. So photography is a more recent hobby for me, so it was pretty exciting to actually get a few of my photographs. And one of the photographs is the lake that I live on, and right now I am looking out the window and can see that lake. So it's kind of cool that it's in the book.
That's awesome. Well, let us know, where can folks find out more about Buffy Silverman, and find out more about On a Snow Melting Day, and find out all those books that you've created?
If you go to www.buffysilverman.com, you can find out lots about me, about my books, about my poetry. I have a blog where I occasionally include some poetry for children. And on the book page, there are links to all of my, to where you can purchase all of my books. On a Snow Melting Day, you can get online or ask for it at your library. And that would be wonderful.
Awesome. We've had a great, fascinating conversation with the author of On a Snow Melting Day, Buffy Silverman. Buffy, thanks so much for being part of our show.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure to speak to you.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Alexis Marie Chute. She is the author of the 8th Island Trilogy, a great middle grade series. You don't want to miss this episode. It is really, really fun. If you are the author of a fantastic children's book, you are also the marketing director for that children's book. Yeah, I mean, you may not have that official title, and certainly if you are working with an established publishing house, there is probably a person who has the official marketing director title for that company. But in reality, you are the marketing director for your book. And if the person at the publishing house is honest, they'll tell you the same thing. You are the person most responsible for getting the word out about your book. Now, one of the neat things about working with one of those big established traditional publishing companies is if they see that you're out there and you're doing a lot of the marketing and it's being effective, then they'll give you some support. And that's wonderful. If you're an independent author, there's no one there to give you support. Well, we're here to give you some support. The Reading with Your Kids podcast, we've been helping authors for the last 3 years really get the word out about their book. One of the programs that we have, it's the Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read program. If our evaluators believe that your book is worthy of 4 or 5 out of 5 stars, it becomes a Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read. And with that status comes a whole lot of great promotional tools that can really help your book stand out from the crowd of books that are published every single month. And there are hundreds, if not thousands, of children's books published every single month. In fact, we've had a number of authors who are working and had their books published by big traditional publishing houses still submit their books to become certified great reads. And that to us is just a testament to the importance of this program and the effectiveness of this program. You can check it out for yourself. If you go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com, at the top of the page, you'll find an author services button. Click on that, and that'll give you all the information you need about our program. Also, on that home landing page at readingwithyourkids.com, you can see a link to our Reading with Your Kids Wall of Fame, and you can see the many, many books that have won that Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read status. Check it out today. We want to thank the folks who made today's show so very wonderful. Of course, we want to thank our friend Buffy Silverman. Be sure to check out On a Snow Melting Day. Also want to thank our sponsors. Want to thank Books.com. Also want to thank Arlene Hio, the author of Bruce Wayne is Insane, Meeting Ninja Kitty. I want to thank my amazing producer, Fatima Khan, for all that she does for the podcast. Be sure to check out her blog at readingwithyourkids.com. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. I want to thank Augie the doggy for having my back here in the studio. But most of all, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.